We are starting here right now into Game 2. CauthonLuck is up 1-0, showing the might of Terran Macro. Very excited to see if HuK is going to make a big adjustment going into Game 2.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here in Raleigh, North Carolina for the semifinals in the winner's bracket, HuK versus CauthonLuck. CauthonLuck currently up 1 game against HuK, and like we all know, StarCraft 2 is a game about momentum and confidence. You got to wonder, is HuK thrown off his game a little bit because he played relatively standard, and you got to wonder, hey, he might be thinking, how can I play this better? What can I do differently here in game number 2?
Well, what's going to be very, very nice news for both players is that they are cross-mapped from one another. This I actually think will help favor HuK a little bit more. He's going to have that nice, easy, less aggressive stuff to deal with. He has easier natural expansion. He has an easier third base to take. CauthonLuck really does rely quite a bit on those timing pushes. Even though Xel'Naga Caverns has a good bit of space between the mains, it's still a direct path whenever he does choose to attack.
All right, so CauthonLuck, let's go ahead and talk about spawn positions. He is over at the 2 as the blue Terran, and HuK, of course, as the red Protoss on the bottom left. HuK here sending his probe out after that pylon. And one thing that a lot of good scouting players like to do all the time is when you're scouting, stop by the watchtower. Why not? You know, take a look by and see what you might see.
Because very often, I mean, you'll see players, well, I suppose maybe 5% of Terran players will lift off and immediately take the gold expansion, which might sound crazy, but you just get so many minerals from that gold expansion that it can sometimes be worth it to do so. And yes, HuK looking very responsible, popping directly by that watchtower. CauthonLuck hasn't even begun to scout yet. Looks like he's waiting till well after he gets his barracks started to do so.
Yeah, standard opening here for CauthonLuck. He's got the barracks down into refinery, 12 racks, 13 gas. Probe going to cross up with the SCV, and it's going to make its way into the Terran main to see what it can do. And every good Protoss will always send that probe right on the SCV, start to harass it, and CauthonLuck's going to be forced to pull an SCV off to deal with that.
Absolutely, and here's the trademark HuK move. Look at that, 0 shields, immediately pulling back, going to wander in a few circles until he ends up healing enough life. And there is the orbital command going down, there's the Marine going down. Everything about CauthonLuck's play is so crisp. I was criticizing him last game because I said he didn't get that 15th SCV, but it's all part of the plan. It allows him to get those Marauders without anything blocking him.
All right, I'll be interested to see what CauthonLuck chooses to go here with his first gas. With that 50, he is going to throw down that tech lab, so look for him to get a Marauder out of that barracks to control the map early on.
One Marine advancing forward, almost certainly going to the Xel'Naga Watchtower to get a little bit of spotting himself. Back in HuK's base, he's doing everything very usually, continuing to chrono boost in the style of HuK. But ooh, we do see a Zealot coming out first. Looks like HuK was a little bit intimidated by that push in the first game. They did throw him off at the outset, so rather than getting a fast second gas, he's getting a Zealot to defend against a potential push.
Yeah, and this is going to allow him to be a little bit more safe off against the Marauder should it come out of this barracks. And we do have a Marauder, and concussive shells is being researched as well. The probe's still alive, going to kill off an SCV inside of CauthonLuck's base.
Oh my God, it took out an SCV. Look at that, 1 kill on the probe, and the probe is even going to be able to get out. No, it looks like it's going to be a little bit of I guess an even trade. But honestly, I think CauthonLuck is reeling a little bit from that. That's always very embarrassing to lose that first worker in that position.
Yeah, CauthonLuck now going to look to secure that natural expansion, throwing down his command center. His concussive shells is now done, and he has a handful of Marines as well as Marauders, or actually a handful of Marauders and 1 Marine. And HuK right now is playing pretty defensively. He's standing up on his ramp. Doesn't look like he's going to think about pushing out anytime soon, but CauthonLuck is about to secure this natural.
And HuK also getting another Zealot. Ooh, this to me would signal, oh no, I was going to say it would signal some sort of fast DT, but instead just getting the Robo Bay. Very, very easy building to get because it does not require too much gas. And here comes CauthonLuck. Look, even pulling some guys out of gas. He originally did have 3 in there, but popped them right out. Is going to begin making all those barracks, saving up gas to be able to get a very, very fast stim pack because stim Marines are so potent against pretty much anything Protoss will throw at you early on.
All right, Dave. So like you said, CauthonLuck really does love his bio play, and he's got 3 additional barracks being constructed inside the main base right now to one, bolster that natural expansion, make sure he can secure it, and of course later on transition into Marine Marauder and possibly Medvac as well. Meanwhile, back in HuK's base, he's getting a second gateway down. He's got 2-gate Robo right now, and he is going to pump out an Observer right away, chrono boosting that out because, of course, scouting is key in StarCraft 2.
And it doesn't look like HuK has even seen that there is an expansion going down at all. He doesn't know that the orbital command is going up. Bunker going down for CauthonLuck. Kind of have to do that because the space is so huge and wide open at the front of your base. But is stim going down? No stim yet. Uh-oh, that's a big difference between this game and the last. CauthonLuck didn't forget that stim, and again, that is such a critical upgrade.
CauthonLuck also has a Reaper just kind of chilling outside the natural of HuK's base. HuK going to push out. He is not going to see this Reaper, and this Reaper look for it to hop up right behind the mineral line to do some damage. HuK here, his forces are out of position. He's forced to run this all back. Going to get 1 kill on that probe for HuK. For CauthonLuck, 2 kills and runs away.
And he sees the robotics facility. He's going to assume Immortals. He's going to assume Colossi. But weirdly enough, at this Twilight Council, this is definitely going to be... at that Twilight Council that CauthonLuck just saw right there. I'm very, very weirded out by HuK's play. He hasn't done anything with the Twilight Council. I don't see any sort of DTs here. Real interested to see how HuK is going to play this off, because honestly at this point CauthonLuck is in a fairly commanding position.
CauthonLuck's income is actually slightly behind of HuK's just in terms of harvester count, but he has the mineral advantage because he has that second orbital command. He can meal up whenever he needs to and really just start to boost ahead of the Protoss player HuK. HuK now realizing that is going to get his own Nexus down at the front, and like you said, Dave, this Twilight Council, not exactly sure. He's got 2 different paths. He's got a robotics facility and he's got a Twilight Council, and this is all off of 2 geysers. He knows he needs, he's getting a Templar Archives, so he is going to try to rush up for Templar Tech.
Very interesting play. Would also like to see him get some of that Zealot charge upgrade. And what's interesting is that CauthonLuck has basically said, I'm not going to be pushing out early, because he opted for Combat Shield before Stim. Stim lets you be aggressive, lets you deal with some very huge early pushes, but Combat Shield is basically saying, yeah, whenever I get around to pushing out, I want to have a lot of health. So, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is absolutely a passive choice by CauthonLuck.
Another great thing for HuK right now is, even though he's behind in that command center count, he's got an observer placed very nicely at right outside of CauthonLuck's base. He's going to see this movement from CauthonLuck, who's pushing out with some of his Marines and Marauders. This is going to signal to HuK that he needs to produce some units, and we have some SCVs getting pulled as well. The observer's going to see this though, so HuK knows what's coming. Is he going to be able to react in time? He needs to stop all pro production. He's chrono boosting Psionic Storm. He's canceled a building. He knows he needs as much forces as possible. Can he hold this off?
Oh my god, I don't even think he has enough gas to get that many Templar. He has 2 out already. They barely are having enough energy right now. They are at 73, 74 energy right now. CauthonLuck delaying for just a few seconds. Those could be the key few seconds that keeps HuK in this game. Oh my god, CauthonLuck just waited 5, 10 seconds here. All the units pulled back. Does he have charge? No, he does not. Just trying to get as many Templar as he can. And will he get Storm in time? Yes, he barely gets Storm in time. There's the scan. Zealots now moving forward, and here comes some huge storms going down right in the middle, and with no Stim, he just has to take the brunt of it, and the Stalkers in the back are going to be able to just chase down all these units in the nick of time getting that storm.
CauthonLuck, they're hesitating for just a few seconds. He really could have went in and punished the Protoss player HuK, but now he's forced to run tail behind his legs. He can micro a little bit, but the Marauder gets taken out. He can no longer slow these Zealots or Stalkers, and these Marines' days are numbered. They're running away. The Zealots are just pushing forward, and the Stalkers continuing to fire against these Marines.
So much damage dealt by those Zealots, and because the Stalkers are so fast, they can stay in the back and pick off all the Marines. CauthonLuck really wishing he had invested